What's going on? Welcome back to the Android to iPhone adventure. Be sure to like, share, sub, all that noise. You know the drill. Shameless plug over, onward. So are you an Android person thinking of making the jump to iOS? Well, while there are things to like in iOS as an Android lover, this experiment has made one thing glaringly obvious. Android is king. So yeah, there are things that I like about this thing. That video is up here. But overall, I don't like this thing. I even kept it as long as I possibly could. Like tomorrow is 2 weeks, so if I don't return it tomorrow, I have to keep it. I literally kept it as long as I could to make sure that it wasn't just a matter of, oh, well, you're not used to it. So there's a bunch of little stuff. Little annoyances like, why is this a thing? Or, seriously, Apple? Stuff like not having a headphone jack. Or having a notch. Then you have your proprietary connectors that I don't have laying around the house everywhere like I have USB. I mentioned that in a video up here, how I don't think they'll ever go to USB. Little goofy things that I don't know if it's unique to this phone or just iOS in general, but when you share something on Facebook from like YouTube, for instance, you can't tag people. Not the end of the world, but kind of annoying. No double tap to lock. That is one thing that I use on my phone all the time, where you can just tap the screen wherever and turns the screen off. You can't just tap the screen and have it lock. Whereas on my phone, it's actually way more handy than you think. It's such a simple thing too. It's like, why, Apple? Why can't I do this? There's also some gimmicky stuff. Like in my usage of it, portrait mode kind of sucks. It works a lot better on the new Pixel 3. And on this thing, it's like barely up to gimmick status. It could never find the edge correctly, ever. Every picture I took with it, the edges looked janky, or there was like some weird artifacting kind of thing in the middle. It was just always screwed up. And there's the gimmicky stuff that you hear about in the press, like the Taptic engine and how amazing it is. I mean, it vibrates. I don't get it. I don't know. I mean, I didn't really think it was anything special. It vibrates. I mean, all phones vibrate now when you touch the screen and when you do stuff. So, I don't know. Another kind of gimmicky thing was Force Touch. I mean, it's amazing in GarageBand, but other than that, I'm used to just long pressing stuff on Android. It does the exact same thing and it's kind of more intuitive in a way, I think. Maybe it's just because I've been doing it longer. But then there's the stuff that's like legitimately annoying, like gesture-based navigation. I set up gesture-based navigation on my Nexus 4. Do I still have that thing? I had this thing set up as a security camera in my house because there's an app you can get to like turn old cell phones and stuff into security cameras, and then you run them on your computer with an iSpy. That's how you record them. I had this running and I looked at it one day and it was like not a phone anymore. The thing that I had to hold it on a little tripod smashed the hell out of it, like completely destroyed it. I had to put tape on it so shards of glass didn't go everywhere. But yeah, anyway, I had gesture-based navigation set up on this using a launcher, an Android launcher called Nova Launcher, like 5 years ago. After the novelty of it wears off, it's just kind of annoying. So I turned that shit off. Went back to buttons. On iOS, you can't do that. It is far superior to have a button in one place that's always there and always does the same thing than to have to guess. Because on iOS, you have to guess. Sometimes swiping from the left will go back. Sometimes it'll delete an email. Sometimes it'll open a menu. Sometimes it'll take you to the Facebook camera. Other times it does absolutely nothing. You never really know. And if it does do nothing, then you have to hunt for a back button. Sometimes in the top left corner, sometimes it's a cancel in the top right corner, sometimes there's nothing there at all. You just have to hit done somewhere. You just never really know. It's actually pretty damn janky. And on a phone this size, having to reach all the way up in the top left corner is a pain in the ass. I know back when phones were small like this, having the back button, icon, whatever, up there wasn't such a big deal, but now that phones are gigando, yeah, reaching all the way up there isn't really possible. Especially on a phone that is, no joke, the most slippery thing I have ever touched. It's like a wet fish. I have a video, I'll put it up over here, or over here rather, of it sitting on a chair, sliding. Now this chair is flat. It's barely even got a little hump in it. Like, I don't know if you can even see the little bit of a bump in the video, but it's damn near flat and the thing's sliding. I'm like, what the hell? Every morning I wake up, this thing is on the floor. Every single morning. It is the most slippery thing ever. So yeah, you really don't want to be reaching around for buttons and stuff. Better put a case on it if you're gonna actually do this thing because damn, you will drop it. Especially playing the where's the back button game and trying to reach for it. You will drop it. But yeah, gesture-based navigation is annoying. And on iOS, you can't turn it off. I wish there was an option. Apple is not big on options. I know this. That's one of the things I don't like about them. Options would be good because being able to have an option where there's a, come on, Face ID, there you go, where there's like a back button or something down here, even if it just takes up, you know, that much of the screen, that's fine. Because on Android, that's exactly what it does. It takes up a little tiny bit of the screen at the bottom, and then when you're in apps, it goes away. Depending on the app, some apps it just stays there, but you have the option. You can even rearrange them, you can put other stuff down there to open stuff right away. It's super, super flexible, and then at the end of the day, if you really want gesture-based navigation, you can do that. Because Android. Hands down, the most annoying thing ever about the iThing is text entry. Odds are, what are you gonna do every time you pick your phone up? You're gonna send a message, send an email, post something on a Book of Face, or something. You're gonna type something. And typing on this thing is maddening. You can't tap into words. Let me show you what I mean. What do I mean by you can't tap into a word? Let's say you're typing and typing, and instead of things, it types this, right? Oh, no big deal. You just tap into the middle of the word and you add a ng, add a tap into the word. You can't. The only way to fix it is to either delete the whole word and try again and hope it gets it right the second time, or you can long press and wait and then shuffle the cursor around like that and then go ng. On Android, we have swipe, or we used to. They actually discontinued it, which makes me really sad, but yeah, nothing I can do about it other than back up my Android app, the APK itself, and keep it forever and install it on every phone forever until it no longer works, which is what I'm gonna do. But anyway, you're typing and typing and typing and oops, it didn't work. No problem. Why can't you do that on iOS? Why? Plus you get all the really cool stuff that swipe does, like if you want a comma, right? You just swipe from the comma to the space bar and it'll put a comma and a space. It's amazing. Or same thing with period. If you want to quote things, you just long press L. 2 seconds, boom, you got a quote. On that damn thing, you have to like fumble about with the second menu and go over here, and why is that a thing? Plus, to capitalize words, or make them all caps or whatever, the little swipe icon thing down there, you swipe from that to the shift, and you can change it to whatever you want. Capitalize, nothing, all caps, whatever. And then on top of that, if you want to add on to a word, you want to put letters after a word, all you have to do is swipe from the space bar to the backspace. And then it won't put any more spaces. It's amazing. Why can't iOS do this? Even using the best third-party keyboard that I could find for this thing, this is a SwiftKey, it drove me nuts. I mean, even just simple stuff like not being able to put quotes or parentheses or, you know, just simple icons without going into another menu, sometimes even another menu, like for the hashtag thing. Why is it so hard? Because it really is. It's a huge pain in the ass. And that's my #1 hang up with this thing is text entry. Text entry sucks. And that's the one thing you do basically all the time when you pick your phone up. It's horrible. Another huge whiff on Apple's part, no true multitasking. You get no real form of multitasking on this phone. Even though the screen is monstrous, you can't do split screen. You can't do picture in picture. You can't do floating apps. Nothing. Like Messenger, Facebook Messenger on this phone is basically just another messaging app. On Android, you get a cool little chat head that pops up and gets out of your way when you're not using it. So you can open up the chat and send whatever and then minimize it again. And when you get another message, it pops up right there and you can go right back into it. No matter where you are, no matter what you're doing, it floats over other apps. There's also floating apps that I use quite often, like this calculator. You can put it wherever you want on the screen. So if you're in the browser trying to, say, figure out how much your order is going to be, right? You're at the native grill and wings. You can go in here and you hit order, and you can do all your math stuff right on the screen on top of whatever you're doing. Not to mention split screen, the most useful thing known to mankind. The world's most advanced mobile OS has none of that. Why? It almost feels like this phone's like not even done. Like it's not complete. They just forgot so much stuff or left out so much stuff. It's kind of crazy because it's a really nice phone and yeah, it runs great, but it doesn't really do anything. So the major takeaway from this whole experience is, as Android people, if you plan to go to iOS, be prepared for a big functionality loss. You're gonna miss a lot of stuff, more than likely. Some people on Android don't use any of that stuff. Floating apps and picture-in-picture and split screen and all that stuff. And to them I say, why not? It's the greatest stuff ever. But I also say, yeah, sure, I mean, you could probably go to Apple and not really hate it so much. But for the rest of us, I don't like it. I don't like it at all.